Good morning. All right, I know it's Friday. We're all going home in a short period of time. But on Wednesday, when I said good morning, there was this really robust response. Yesterday, we had to do it twice. And this morning, miserable failure, folks. So we're going to try this again. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. A little energy. Everybody have a great night? Yeah? Good. I think one of the benefits of this event is really the opportunity to network and talk to other people and hear other ideas. And I know I spent a lot of time doing that this week during the breaks and last night at dinner. So show of hands, how many people met somebody new this week and exchanged ideas and information? Boom. Mission accomplished, Mr. President. Well done. Bingo cards. If you have not got your bingo cards done, please get those completed and get them turned into the front. I'm sorry, Mike Davenport. Stand up, Mike. He is, apparently. Get your bingo cards to Mike, because apparently we have 10 $50 gift cards to give away. So 10 of you will walk away winners. Now, before I get into our first presentation this morning, since Wednesday morning, we've been discussing our position as an international organization. Many of us have wondered, where are the Canadians? We've heard so much about the Canadians, but no one's laid eyes on either of them. And yesterday I made an announcement that they were here, and they were, I think, in the building, but not here. This morning, I'm happy to introduce to all of you our friends from the north, from Canada, Norm and Lisa, right here in the front row. And if you get an opportunity before you leave today, I really encourage you to go up, introduce yourself. They are doing incredible things in Canada, and they're unbelievably nice people. After hanging out with you guys for a half hour, 40 minutes last night at dinner, I'm like, we got to get them into the United States. They got to be part of what's happening here. I'm not endorsing any specific positions, but you guys are awesome, so thank you. So to kick off our morning session, we're going to hear a message from Congressman Greg Landsman, who was unable to join us today, but we'd like for you to hear his message. And we know he's a huge supporter of the work that you do. And in a couple weeks, myself and the new executive director for the ODA are going to be in Washington, D.C., and we're going to be taking meetings with legislators and senators that week. And I can promise you that this project and programming and deflection funding is going to be a big topic of discussion for us when we're in those offices. So, is it going to play, Megan?
Hey everyone, it's Greg Landsman, and I have the unique honor of serving as the representative for the 1st Congressional District in Ohio. I want to thank the Ohio Deflection Association for hosting their 4th summit in Cincinnati and for all of the amazing work that you're doing to address the addiction crisis. You all are true heroes, working to prevent tragedies, building a community network of support, and helping people in their time of need. In Southwest Ohio, we've seen the success of quick response teams and community collaborations to reduce overdose deaths and save lives. And by focusing on prevention, harm reduction, and recovery, you all are showing the way forward in tackling substance abuse and mental health challenges. So thank you for the life-changing work you all are doing here and across Ohio.
Awesome. So now I'm going to introduce our first live speaker this morning. And I think I recall on Wednesday morning I told you that over the course of my law enforcement career, being involved in deflection and our QRT and all the things that we've done in our community and the things that we're doing as part of the Ohio Deflection Association really has been the most gratifying work that I've ever been involved in. And one of the things that brings me great pride is having any part as an organization and as a community in helping people, really helping people find hope and helping people on a journey to the life they didn't think they deserved in some cases, the life that they didn't think they would ever have. And the next person that's coming to the stage is somebody from my community. And I've known him now for a number of years, and he's one of the most exceptional human beings I've ever met in my life. And I'm going to read you his story as it's printed here. 7 years ago, Brandon Cox was struggling with substance use, living on the streets of Hawaii and facing a life consumed by a pursuit of heroin. His journey was one of pain and uncertainty, but through immense personal growth and unwavering determination, Brandon turned his life around. Today, Brandon serves his community as a firefighter and a paramedic and has dedicated his life to helping others. His transformation from a place of deep struggle to a place of strength and service is a powerful reminder of what's possible through recovery and commitment. And I want to tell you just a couple more things, because Brandon won't tell you these things himself, because he's one of the most humble people I've ever met. When Brandon was in his recovery, and I guess he still is, ultimately, but he told us, Scott Duff and our folks in our project, he said that he had had a dream that he wanted to be a first responder, and blown away by that. And, you know, we were able to help Brandon get into the State Fire Academy. And the reason I bring that up is not to say that we helped him do that. It's what he did with that opportunity. Brandon went to the State Fire Academy and graduated as their honor graduate. And then this guy says, I want to be a paramedic, and goes to paramedic school and is honor graduate there. And then comes back and is a firefighter and a paramedic, and now in our community, and he's saving other people's lives. And he's just one of the most amazing people I've ever met. And I'm going to ask my good friend Brandon Cox to come to the stage.
Thank you, Dennis. Let me get my stopwatch out here. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and thank you, again, everybody over on this side of the room for inviting me to come and speak. It's an honor, it's a privilege, and I hope I won't let you down. I've got the mission of trying to condense about 17 years of life into 20 minutes. So I guess I'll start in the beginning, tell you a little bit about myself, my history, the kinds of things I did, where I come from, and where I'm at now, broadly speaking. So first thing, for all my peer supporters in the room, what's got 11 feet, 7 arms, and 3 teeth? Front row of an NA meeting. All right. So my name is Brandon Cox. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. I'm 32 years old. I've got a younger sister, 2 years younger, a loving mother and father. They're divorced, but they both love me very much. And I think what you're going to take away from my story is that I do have a unique story, but so does every other person in recovery in their own way. You know, no one arrives where they're at today because of any particular set path. You know, our lives are so different and our recoveries are so different. If you spend time and get to know some of your clients, which I'm sure you guys do, you'll be blown away by how diverse their experiences are, right? So I consider myself to be extremely lucky as far as recovery goes. I haven't had it as hard as many other people. You know, my parents supported me throughout the entire process. My ACE score is a 2, which isn't great, but isn't that bad either in the grand scheme of things. So growing up in Columbus, I had a pretty normal childhood. You know, both my parents went to college. There was a huge emphasis on school when I was young. I am half Japanese, so my mom being full Japanese was, school, 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 school. So I think that's where I started to go wrong. Was school came easy to me. Dennis mentioned that I might be considered intelligent by some rubrics, but as you'll find, I'm a very slow learner as well. So school was easy, right? I didn't have to devote a lot of my time towards school, and I was always curious, and I was always full of energy and looking for other things to do. So I never got injured and got prescribed opiates or anything like that. I was just bored in high school, and I started smoking weed, and I started eating mushrooms and doing acid, and I quickly learned that I enjoyed existing in different planes of existence. I was really into the whole different mindset thing, and I was working at a pizza shop in Columbus when I was 16, and I walked in on a delivery driver smoking heroin in the bathroom. And I thought, I've kind of always wanted to try heroin, let me try it, man. So I did, and I wasn't hooked instantly. It wasn't like from that day on I was consumed, but the seed was planted. And so by the time I had graduated high school, I had tried really anything I could get my hands on. And while I didn't think I was addicted because I didn't do one thing every single day, I think from the age of 14 to 24, I spent every day high on something. So when I finished high school as a senior that summer, I got arrested for the first time. Is drug involved, and so I got ordered into drug treatment. So in 2010, I was introduced to the world of recovery. Went to AA meetings, NA meetings, Talbot Hall, IOP, PHP. And I did it because I had to, because I didn't want to do it. I didn't think I had a problem. So I learned, in hindsight, that everything I had learned in recovery at that time at such a young age, while I didn't take it seriously, somewhere deep inside, it kind of found a place to rest and hibernate for a while. Fast forward 18 years, and things are starting to make more sense. So after high school, there was no question in my parents' mind I was going to college. Something that they wanted me to do, something that I was resistant to, but I ended up going to Hawaii for school. Not because of any particular reason, I just didn't know what I wanted to study. So I applied to schools based on their locations, right? So why not, Got some scholarship money, it became a reality, and at 17 years old, I moved away from my family and didn't know a soul out there in Hawaii. And the person I was followed me there, obviously, and quickly fell into the wrong crowd. And while I still managed to make my classes, that heroin that I had tried in high school became available in the form of oxycodone, Oxycontin. So like I said, I am a slow learner, but I'm very good at taking suggestions. And people told me, why don't you cook it up and shoot it up instead? It feels a little better. So I did finish college, but by the time I had finished college, I had also earned a very strong dependency and addiction to opiates. Methamphetamine is pretty big in Hawaii too, and it was a good study aid at that time. Helped me stay up and study. So I finished college. I got my bachelor's in philosophy, and that was a weird time in my life. Those 4 years in school was, so loopy and so spacey, messed up on so many things, while also studying questions about free will and time and existence. It's a weird time to be alive for me. So I finished school, and again, I'm stuck with a predicament. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. We're told our whole lives that life should be, you go to school, you settle into a career, you buy a home, you start a family, and I had no clue what I wanted to do. So shortly before graduating, I met with a career counselor for many, many weeks. And they basically told me, based on your personality profile, your interests, these 2 careers best match you as a person: life insurance salesman and florist. So, I took that seriously. I got an internship at a life insurance firm. I worked on a flower farm, and it wasn't for me. So back to square one. So here I am a week before graduation. They're kicking me out of the dorms. I got to find somewhere to go, something to do. I rent a room, and I work at a scuba diving shop. And I'm still barely employable. That shop closes down, and I'm kind of stuck with something. How do I earn money to pay rent to survive, right? So the logical option to me was, rather than increasing my income to meet my expenses, if I just reduce my expenses, I don't have to make as much, right? So I bought a van and lived in a van for a couple years. And I sold it to my parents, telling them tiny home movement, being sustainable, and really trying to make them proud of me. So little did I know that van would be one of the worst things I could have done, right? So someone who's already halfway across the world from their family, doesn't really know anybody, doesn't have any healthy relationships, is all of a sudden isolated in this van that they're living in. So the addiction quickly spiraled out of control, and whereas I had been at one point able to maintain a job, I was no longer employable, So something I think a lot of people outside of the world of recovery don't understand is that addicts are very resourceful people. Someone that doesn't have a job is able to come up with the money to buy the drugs, right? Get the drugs, find a place to use them, and find a way to keep it to themselves, So for many years, I did whatever I thought I had to do to get what I wanted, And those kinds of things, coming from a relatively good family, it's just amazing how low somebody will go to get what they want in the world of addiction. Throughout this time, I never really called home, never really talked to my parents and stayed in contact with them. The van ended up getting set on fire and no longer had that safe space, so I was just living on the beaches, on the streets. And my parents started worrying about me. They hadn't heard from Brandon for a long time. And it got to the point where I'd be walking the streets in Hawaii and the police would show up. And dude would be in his cruiser alongside me, roll the window down, say, "Hey, Brandon, your dad's calling the police station wanting to know if you got arrested, and your mom's calling the hospitals wanting to know if you got admitted, and they're just wondering if you're okay." And I tell him, "Yeah, I just talked to him yesterday. We're all good. Don't worry about it. Thank you." So this happened for months, many months. I'd be walking down the street in Hawaii. A random cop cruiser would pull up. They know me by name. They know who I was. And they tell me, your parents keep calling us, and they're wondering if you're okay. Just give them a call. Let them know you're okay. And I always told them the same thing. Don't worry about it. I talked to them. Till one day, 3 in the morning, I'll never forget, coming out of this building, boom, like 5 or 6 cop cars circle me. And same thing, parents are calling, wanting to know where you're at. I told them, don't worry about it, just talked to my dad yesterday, and wouldn't you know, my dad had flown out from Ohio to Hawaii, went to the police station, rode around with them until they found me. He came out of one of the cop cars and said, "Brandon, you're coming home." I said, "No, I'm not." And this is how messed up we are. The disease of addiction, people say, is one of the only diseases that will convince you you don't have any disease, right? And so I told my dad, "Look, I acknowledge I have a problem, but I need to prove it to myself that I can get clean and sober in the very environment that I'm using in to prove that I'm tough enough to do it." And he came home without me. How heartbreaking, right? How absolutely crushing must that be to my dad to fly out on a whim to find me and bring me home, and then for me to reject him and turn him around empty-handed, So I think something that gets lost in a lot of stories is the emotional part of it, When in active addiction, we don't really allow ourselves to feel those emotions of guilt and shame and even sadness, So the gravity of that situation didn't hit me until years later. So I continued doing what I was doing. I was shooting up heroin, shooting up meth, doing whatever I wanted to do, and robbing and stealing and scamming, and finally caught up to me and got arrested again. And the judge told me, "Look, Brandon, you can serve some time here, or you can go back to Ohio and get the help that you need." And it was a lot of time, and I didn't want to do that. I'm soft. I didn't want to do that. So I came back to Ohio. This was 2018, early 2018. And even then, I did not understand the gravity of the situation. I got released from jail, I think it was on a Thursday, and my flight out was on a Friday. And that night, Thursday night, I snuck out and got high again. No consequences, got on the plane and came back to Ohio. So I come back to Ohio, get into Columbus Springs, Dublin, PHP program, do an IOP, finish those, and still kind of resistant to it. The willingness for me wasn't there. And as we know, that's the most important thing, is the willingness. I had that external motivation from the courts telling me to go to treatment. I ended up doing a treatment in lieu of conviction, something I think everyone in here is aware of. And I didn't want to do it. I was not grateful for the opportunity. I didn't think it was beneficial, so I faked it. I faked it. I went into sober living down south in Gallipolis, got kicked out for drinking and fighting, came back to Columbus. The guy I had gotten into a fight with down south, the week prior had been kicked out of another facility in Lancaster, Ohio. And he told me, hey, those people down there were pretty cool, why don't you get them and try? So I made a call and ended up in Lancaster, Ohio, sober living program. And after a few weeks of being there, something just clicked. I don't know what it was. I had been resisting something for so long, and somewhere along the way just saw that this was probably beneficial for me and my future, and something I should take seriously. And so all those memories and all those hibernating thoughts from when I was a teenager in NA and AA and IOP kind of reared their heads, and I realized this was something I've known all along but just never applied. So this sober living program is a 6-month program. Remember, said I was a slow learner, so it took me 6 years to leave that place. I lived in a sober living house for 6 years, which is a long time, man. It's constantly surrounded by people. Somewhere along the way, after finishing that initial 6 months, though, I got hired on as an RA, resident assistant, helped with some counseling groups, helped with some case management, and started realizing this is, if you just follow what people recommend and what they suggest, it's not as hard as people make it out to be. So through treatment, I kind of identified a big reason why I used was I never had something to direct my energy towards. I never knew what I wanted to do with myself. So a big part of my recovery has been to identify a career that I wanted to get into. So looking back, I had overdosed a couple times in Hawaii and had been revived by EMS, and so thought that would be a pretty cool thing to get into, to kind of pay my respects and do what they did for me to somebody else. So I started volunteering with the Red Cross, doing first aid stuff, and the more I learned, the more people told me that EMS stuff is pretty cool, but in Ohio, a lot of firefighters do EMS, and that's where the fun's at. You want to be a firefighter. So I thought, okay, let me see what I can do about that. Called the Ohio Fire Academy, applied. They said, no, look at you. You're not getting into this school, right? After many letters of recommendation, I think phone calls on my behalf and a lot of fighting, they relented and said, okay, Brandon, we'll give you a shot. But even if you finish this school, there's no guarantee the Department of Public Safety is going to grant you a certification. It's a gamble. I said, all right, I'll take it. Finished school, applied for my firefighter certificate. Department of Public Safety said, no, we're not going to certify you. Appealed it and won the appeal. But little do I know, most departments want you to not only be certified as a firefighter, but as an EMT as well. So applied to Ohio Fire Academy again for EMT. They said no. No. Appealed it, got in, finished EMT school. Department of Public Safety said no. Appealed it, got it. So now, boom, firefighter, EMT. Then I quickly learned that most of the good-paying, busy city departments want you to be a paramedic as well. Applied to paramedic school, no. Get in, finish. Department of Public Safety, no. Appeal. So, I mean, I can't blame anybody for that, right? With my record, it makes sense that somebody like me would not be allowed to give fentanyl to somebody else. You know, that makes sense. Or to be in somebody's home putting a fire out in the jewelry cabinet. You know what I mean? So it makes sense to me. So finally I get certified, and I go to apply to Lancaster Fire Department, the city where I live in, the people I see every day who I want to help, and they said, no, we can't hire you. So for a lot of you, if you're not familiar, there's a civil service hiring process for the city fire department, and they ask you everything. How many times have you smoked weed? How many times have you stolen something? List the dates, who you were with, the dollar amount. I'm like, dude, anything you answer yes to, you have to explain, right? And so there's probably 100 questions, and 90 of them I answered yes to. So I just included a page that said, look, this is what was going on, this is what I did, this is where I was at in my life, this is what I've done since then to help that, and I just included that as a supplement. Lancaster basically said, wait another year, let it fall off your record a little more, then we'll consider you. 2 years ago in October, they hired me. Yeah. Thank you. So I've finally found an outlet for my energy, somewhere I can go, something I can see and do that will keep me busy and keep me out of trouble, you know, and firemen like to drink a lot. You know, a lot of my coworkers like to have fun and go to the bars, and I'm very open with my history, and they're very understanding and empathetic with that. They understand. So I think it worked out for me to have that accountability around me all the time. People can see me, they know what I'm about, and they hold me to that standard. So while working with the fire department, I have had the opportunity to respond to overdoses and see people who are struggling with the same thing I struggled with. And I quickly kind of learned that it wasn't my place to get in their face and tell them, I'm clean, I did it, you can do it too. You know, that's not gonna convince anybody on the spot. So through working with that sober living program and responding to 911 calls, I know over 20 people who have suffered a fatal overdose, many of them close friends. And I've been there to give Narcan to close friends who have been overdosing, you know, and I have nothing but love for that population. You know, I am that population. So it breaks my heart when I see people I know that are still struggling with it. You know, something that I got out of that they're still stuck in. So being here with all you guys and knowing that there's a whole world of people out there that are that understand the problem, that have tools and are developing more tools to fight the problem, it just means the world to me. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you for being here today and for everything you do.
How about my friend Brandon? And he's a good-looking kid too, right? Jealous, very jealous of that. Yeah. So, and as a law enforcement officer, there's always this playful banter between law enforcement and fire, right? We call them, you know, there's actual first responders and there's the second responders. Too much, Dan? No, the reality is most police officers are police officers because they didn't score high enough on that civil service test to get into the fire academy, if I'm telling the truth. Because who wouldn't want a job where you get to sleep for days and days and lay around the firehouse playing Xbox, watching ESPN for a living? I got to bring back again. Okay. No, they're amazing, amazing partners. And we're really blessed in our community in Fairfield County and Lancaster for the police departments and the fire departments to have such a close working relationship, and we love each other and take care of each other. And so Brandon's a great example of that. So is Adam sitting next to him there. So thanks again for that. So I'd like to take a moment to thank one of our generous sponsors, and that's Boulder Care. They're one of our innovation sponsors, and they will be sponsoring this breakout session F, which is immediately following this session this morning. We're grateful for their support and partnership in advancing the mission of deflection and recovery, and I'd like to invite a representative from Boulder Care to the stage.
Good morning, everyone. Let's see if I can do this without using my hands too much and knocking down the microphone. I'm going to use my notes so I don't digress too much because I'm very good at doing that. Thank you to everyone who worked hard to plan this great event, everyone to my left, and everyone in this room for coming. I speak for Boulder Care when I say that this conference is extremely valuable and important to bring awareness to new opportunities to help people who use substances. We know that throwing them in jail and tossing the keys is not what works, but all the programming instead. All the important work that everyone in this room is doing and changing the tide on how we help folks with substance use disorder. Boulder Care is a telehealth provider treating opioid use disorder and alcohol use disorders in adults and pregnant women in Ohio, North Carolina, Washington State, and Oregon. All of our care is delivered through our on-demand platform via secured video visits on our app. We also use phone and messaging. We are grounded in empathy, and we are rooted in harm reduction. All our patients need to use Boulder Care is a smart device, Wi-Fi connection, and active Medicaid or insurance. I'm a person in long-term recovery from opioid use disorder. I'm also a person who has lived experience with incarceration. This coming March, I will celebrate my 13th annual recovery milestone achievement. Thank you. As a person in long-term recovery, I'm grateful to have the privilege of connecting patients to a quality treatment provider such as Boulder Care. Suboxone saved my life 13 years ago. The first time I was given Suboxone, I never misused opioids again. Here we are 13 years later. I understand the importance of having access to this life-saving medication and doing so without experiencing judgment and stigma. At the core of Boulder Care, we are intentionally kind and work to deliver exceptional quality care to our patients who deserve nothing less. Our treatment philosophy is to provide patients with access to care from anywhere, to remove as many barriers as possible, and to be unwavering in our mission to empower people who use substances to achieve their recovery goals, whatever that looks like for them. Our aim is to be the most trusted name in addiction medicine, proving high-quality, compassionate care on the backdrop of the least trusted industry. We are moving the industry forward. In 2024, we completed over 100,000 clinical visits. We recently celebrated reaching 10,000 patients. We've only been open 4 years. And a record day of 93 new patient intakes the day after New Year's Day. Quality remains our North Star. Everyone deserves to access the care they need to be the best version of themselves. Everyone deserves to follow whatever pathway to recovery works for them, whatever pathway they choose, and to not be judged. As professionals in this industry, I urge each of you, if you're not already doing this, to use non-stigmatizing person-first language, to thoughtfully remove words like addict, clean, and dirty from your vocabulary. Nothing changes if nothing changes, and I'm proud to be part of that change alongside all of you. I hope you'll come to my breakout session later this morning at 10:45 a.m. Learn more about Boulder Care and the exceptional work that we're doing to move the industry forward. Connecting care from anywhere, and the role of telehealth in harm reduction. Thank you.
Happy Friday. I got mixed feelings. Feels like Tuesday, and it's already Friday. A lot of good things happened this week. A lot of great opportunities. We all raised our hand, and I'm going to think to a person, everyone met someone that they did not know when they got here, and that is huge. That's a part of what we do. We collaborate, we learn, we become friends with people we never thought we would meet, first of all, and then we become friends, we work collectively together with each other, and that is a powerful, powerful opportunity. This is the 2025 Ohio Deflection Association membership meeting. Nicole, can we call this meeting to order? We'll go ahead and call the roll.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order at 9:41 a.m. Dan Malloy.
Present.
Scott Duff. Here. Mike Davenport. Here. Nicole Jenkins. Here. Tom Fallon. Here. Megan Guthrie. Here. Morgan Brown. Here. Nan Franks. Here. Scotland Duff. David Shearing. I knew that. Here. Jessica Jennings. Here. And David Lowe. Dennis Lowe. Oh my.
Oh my gosh.
I work here, I promise.
Thank you for that. Mike Davenport, our treasurer, will you report out on the treasurer's report?
Good morning, everyone. I'm here to bring good money news, so I would like to quickly cover our checking and savings account status and a little bit about our congressional funding that we have. So currently, in our checking account, we have $20,336.55, and in our savings account, $78,082.11. And that will change probably over the next week. We have written a bunch of checks, at least 6,000, at least today, and for our mini grants. And we also had about 1,500 to 2,000 in supplies to get this conference going this week. So it'll go down a little bit. Oh yes, and we have to pay our conference bill. That's a lot of money, but I'm going to cover. So in our congressional funding from 2023, we received $160,000, and all of that has been earmarked and paid, so we've spent all of that. In 2024, for the fiscal year, Nicole Jenkins was able to get $230,000, and we have earmarked 90 grand of that for this summit conference that we're currently at, and a little over 5,000 for our administrative assistant, Scotland Duff's salary. And I think we probably also need to note we will have an executive director salary in there as well. And Nicole and the committee for the funding will be exploring 2025 funds if they are available. And I think that's it. So I did not print out, obviously I didn't want to burn 200 copies of this, but if anybody would like a copy of our report, I'm more than happy to email that out to you.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve that financial report? Second? Take the vote. All in favor? Aye. Any against? Thank you. And just a point of note, first year we were here, the conference cost $63,000. Last year we added a day, and we added things like the nourishment centers in the morning. This year we added afternoon as well, plus that 2 extra day. We paid $93,000 for this event last year. We figure we're going to be in the ballpark of $93,000 this year. And that's why we appreciate our sponsorships and the opportunity to make sure that we can provide the mini grants, we can provide, you'll hear more about it. Nicole will get up and talk about the supplies. If you remember, we surveyed the membership over the past several months through our monthly meetings to tell us what you need in your communities, whether it be dog food or hygiene supplies or whatever. Well, Nicole, I'm saying what Nicole's going to say. I don't want to say it, but that we've earmarked money from our funds to provide those supplies. We've also written a grant in partnership with PARI to hopefully add to that supply capability. We wrote a $15,000 grant that we hope we can add to the $12,000 that we've set aside for supplies to make it 27. So when you ask for supplies, we can give as many of the communities the supplies that you desire. And again, Nicole's got the system and Scotty got the system set up, so we can get your orders, work it through, and then ship those supplies to you so you have them and are able to distribute them within your community. So again, we're excited about that opportunity to do that. So please don't hesitate. And if you can't make the breakout for Nicole because you're at Amy's or you're at Monty and his team's breakout, just find us. We'll get your information. We don't want you to miss the lessons because of the supplies, but as we've heard this week, it's hard to pick sometimes what you're going to go to. So don't let one keep you from the other. So we'll make sure we have the opportunity to do so. Next item is we stood here in January of 2024 and we talked about the bylaws. And we spent the year working on the bylaws because when we initially wrote the bylaws in 2020, 2021, we really didn't know what we were going to do. But we set forth bylaws on what we thought we were going to do. And we wanted to take the lessons learned, the engagements, the work that this board is supposed to do, and we've updated the bylaws, and we've since made those corrections and approved those, and they're available. We're not posting them on the website, but if you would like to see a copy, we addressed membership, we addressed the roles, we addressed the election process, we addressed the inclusion of an executive director. The executive director, yes, that executive director is going to be 2 days a week, 16 hours a week to advocate and work on behalf of you guys, on behalf of the association, to engage, as you heard Dennis speak, whether it be folks in DC or folks in Columbus, to advocate on the work of deflection and be a partner to make sure we're not forgotten. You're not forgotten, and we continue to drive the mission forward. And when I close the meeting out, I'm going to invite Mr. Tom Fallon to step up here and just say a few words so you know who he is. If you see him around, that's what he's here for. Talk to him, set up a meeting, communicate with him. That is what he does really well, and he's excited to take this responsibility on to represent you as well as the association. So the bylaws have been updated. I'll be honest with you, that was just harder than we thought it was going to be. For those of you that we thought we knew, and then everything was, we spent a lot of time, and I'll just take a moment to thank Jessica Jennings, Nicole Jenkins, Megan Guthrie, David Shearing, Josh Crank, for being a part of that and helping us move that thing, because we had a lot of ideas and we think we were at one place and then we think of something else, and we wanted it to be perfect, but just understand that the bylaws are a living, breathing document, and it will probably evolve as this field evolves. So we're excited to have that. The other piece is we have a vacant position on our board. As you know, we have regional representatives. We have 5 areas within the state of Ohio: Northwest Ohio, Southwest Ohio, Northeast Ohio, Southeast Ohio, and Central Ohio. We have a vacant position in the Northeast. So if there's anyone from the Northeast part of the state that thinks that, I'd like to, and that purpose of being that representative is being that voice within that region, so we have a connection, so we understand what's going on within your portion of the state, and can we, again, how can we help you? How can we advocate for you? Ensure that information is shared with you. just like if for those of you that were around on Wednesday and you attended Erin Reed's presentation about the predictive analytics, she's going to work with our regional reps to communicate out within the regions to then educate and help build the understanding associated with that analytics and work with the reps to make sure we do what's right for each region of the state. So they're working and they will continue to meet and discuss what's best for Central Ohio versus Southeast Ohio, and et cetera, and et cetera. So if there's anyone from the Northeast, there is an application on the website for if you're interested in the open positions. That's what we did last year. We had vacancies within the position. We filled a vacant Southwest Ohio position, and we filled the vacant Central Ohio position with Morgan Brown from Safer Stations. You met Morgan on stage yesterday. Morgan, would you stand up so people can get to see you? Morgan was the Safer Station. She was an award winner yesterday from the work that she's doing and leading in Central Ohio. And then Megan Guthrie is now the Southwest Ohio regional representative. So I guess in that space, I should probably just introduce the other representatives, but nobody else is here. Steve Rogers had to leave early to get back to Toledo. He's the Northwest Ohio. He's a lieutenant from the Lucas County Sheriff's Office. Brad Lehman, he's from Southeast, he's from Lawrence County. Brad had a medical emergency and he was not able to be here with us this year. And if you've met Brad before, he wants to be here, but we almost had to tie him down with a big old cinder block to keep him from coming up here. So Brad is in the southeast portion of the state, and like I said, we're still seeking that Northeast Ohio position. So if anyone's interested, we absolutely would love to sit down with you and talk with you about filling that vacancy. And then the other at-large positions, and I'm probably off script and off the thing, but one of the at-large positions is Mr. Dennis Lowe. You know him, he doesn't need to stand up. Miss Nan Franks, you met her, and then there's now a vacant at-large position because Tom Fallon filled that and is now the executive director, so there will be an at-large vacancy if anyone's interested in filling with that. And then we have our persons of lived experience. We have David Shearing and Jessica Jennings. We added those positions last year to the board. We're excited about what they inform us of and keep us aware of and help us make sure that and I think Ted said it yesterday, nothing about us without us, and we want to make sure that that message is understood and we continue to listen to any and all of our community members. So we're excited about the board. Again, if you're interested, we'd love to sit and talk with you about those vacancies. And that at-large position means, and the way the bylaws are written, the regional representative must live within the area of the region. That kind of makes sense. Even with Zoom and everything else, knowing the folks that live within your region, having the ability to get out and meet with them and communicate with them is important. But the at-large positions allow pretty much anyone and everyone, no matter where you're from, to say, I'd like to be part of the board. You absolutely can be a part of that opportunity. So if you're interested, please feel free to join us and talk with us more about it. The next item on the agenda is board position elections. We will have our first elections at the 2026 annual summit. Those elections will be for the position of board president and board secretary. That's myself as the president and Nicole Jenkins as the secretary. And Nicole is the board secretary. Mr. Scott Duff is the board vice president. You met Michael Davenport as the board treasurer. And again, you know who I am. So Nicole and I will be up for election. If anyone is interested in filling one of those positions, all you have to do is let us know. And we will work through that with you, and we will make sure, and we'll make the vote next year when we're together for that. In 2027, the treasurer and the vice president positions will come up. So if anyone's interested in those, you have an eye about that, that will be discussions for the 2027 meeting. That staggered schedule allows us to maintain continuity among the leadership of the board and a smooth transition of responsibilities and understand of the vision and so on. So I definitely encourage anyone interested in running for these positions or nominating someone for these positions, please feel free, please do so. we're excited about what that means for us as we continue to grow as an organization. So I forget what I was going to say. There was something really important I was thinking about when I was talking about that, and I don't remember what the heck it was. But the reality is, before we close the meeting, I want to open it up for discussion for anyone within the group to ask a question, offer insight, inquiry, talk about. I remember what I was going to say, but I don't want to change course. Does anyone from the group have anything that you'd like to ask of the board? Requests from us? Doesn't matter what the topic is. This is what we're here. This is what we're about. Ms. Karen Moline.
Trust me. Oh, seriously? All right. I'm sure this has been on everyone's mind. Do you have to be on the board to get a really cool t-shirt or polo shirt? Or swag? I mean, do you guys have a store, like an online store or something? I told you it was stupid.
No, that's a really good question. We don't have a store. And we haven't even placed an order for Megan or Jessica and Morgan. Because this is the first time we've all been in the same room together to say, let's get our order. But we did get t-shirts the first year. Oh, yes, sir.
What would be the interest of folks to have
Stuff.
Raise your hand if you want swag. Oh,
Mr. President,
motion.
willing to work with the executive director to set up an online store for ODA.
So are you making a motion, Mr. Lowe?
If I need to, I'll make a motion.
And I think I heard a second from Mr. Shearing.
First job for our executive director.
All in favor? So Dennis will lead the committee to work on apparel. Outstanding. I don't know how that works, but Karen, no question is they're all good questions. Monty, did you have a question?
This is so much a statement. I feel like I'm in a room full of superheroes, man. And this is a superheroes convention. So envision yourself, your favorite superhero, and you that person, because we are in the business of saving and changing lives. And thank you very much, Professor X, for this opportunity. So let's give ourselves a round of applause.
I might have to get a shirt with that. You know what I mean? I almost feel like I don't need to say anything else. Just close the meeting. No, the thing that I forgot to talk about is really important. Is we're here in January of 2025. We met in January of 2024. We met in January of 23. Why? Does anybody wonder why we meet in January? Thank you, sir. The reality is we were supposed to be an August of 22 event. There were a couple other events that at work in this space that one wanted to move to September of 2022. And I sit on that board for that organization, and I'm like, that's fine, we'll switch. Because I thought, you know what, that's okay. We'll move to January. We don't have to fight. Not a lot of vacations in January, so people like, let's get out of this. It's the new year, cabin fever. I want to get out and go somewhere and meet people. I also thought it's really early in the fiscal year for a lot of our organizations. Maybe they won't have spent all their training budgets. So they'll still, this will be the first event of the year, so let's not wait till the end of the year when everybody's like, man, I really want to go. We don't have any money left. Well, they started moving and adjusting those other conferences, and one is next month in Tampa, and we love our friends at Pari. We're great partners with them. They moved from like the November, early December to February, and you can't, Cincinnati, Tampa, I get it. Tampa, Florida. If you can get it, you can get there. And then the other one has moved to December of 2025. So it's like December, January, February, we don't want to do that to you. But we also want to, we want to do what you want to do. So our question is, first, do we want to come back here next year, or is there somewhere else in the state of Ohio that we'd like to have this event? We want to be respectful of our state and our partners and our teams across this great state of Ohio. Is there anyone that's thinking, man, I wish we had this somewhere else? I mean, I'm sorry? They do treat us well, and the food is obnoxious. I have to say, I was excited about the soft pretzels, and then I went back and there was no soft pretzels, and I opened that thing up and it was those little macaroni and cheese things. I'm like, what the heck? This is just, this is good food. I mean, it's terrible food. So I just told myself it was low fat. Low fat. But that's, again, is there any word, do we want to come back in 2026 to Cincinnati and the Summit Hotel? Yes. All those in favor? Anyone against? Okay. What about January? I mean, I just don't want to create hardship within your organizations and within your teams by, man, they're January. I mean, we'd love to be, because we did have some weather. We lost our Texas partners, didn't come because the drive from Texas to here. We had a young lady got stuck in Denver airport because of weather, and she missed her flight and connection. She slept in the Denver airport and got here late yesterday afternoon, missed her session, and then she spent a tremendous amount of time hanging out and meeting people last night across the street, and I saw her this morning at 6:30 downstairs as she was going to go back to the airport and go back home. And she said, I'm coming all 3 days next year. I'm going to put that on my schedule, and I'm not going to let them schedule me out for other things. So we understand that January can be difficult because of the weather. Any thoughts? Again, this is your event. We work for you. Motion to keep it in January that last week. Okay, we've got a second. If all in favor? Any against? All right, we'll be back at the Summit Hotel, Cincinnati, Ohio. We will make a pledge to work out that second floor parking thing that we never experienced before. Because we did not know they were valeting the second floor of this garage, and it cut off a lot of parking. We know some folks had to park around us, and that doesn't make us happy, because the goal is parking's supposed to be free. You don't have to deal with this, and we don't want you guys, we're not happy about that. I just learned about it yesterday, so we're going to have a conversation, because did we tell you how much we paid for this thing? We feel like we're pretty good partners. We could get some more garage space so folks can park their cars. You know what I mean? So is there anything else related to the summit that I'm not talking about in the event? Okay. And that superhero thing's cool. Thank you. We should have coordinated, because I could have tossed it to you. You could have said that, and I just would have said, motion to adjourn. I just want to thank you guys. You do not know how much energy we get from each other. And when you walk around the halls, you walk in and out of classrooms, and you talk to folks, do you feel like that's kind of a running theme? We love the energy. Love the passion. I talked to a really good man this morning. He did a presentation yesterday. He goes, I love the fact that in every one of these rooms, there's all these different people from all these different experiences and all these different backgrounds. I'm not used to being in places like that. Like, that is this organization. That is this organization. That allows us to have a focus and a voice for anyone and everyone that works in this field. And that was the whole purpose from October 2019 to that dinner we had at that restaurant in Lancaster when we all said, can we do this? And we're like, we can do this. We can do it. So to see you, enjoy yourself. And we did 43 headshots last year. We were going to do almost 70 headshots this year. There were no cancellations. There were no missed appointments this year. You made that man's day, week, month, year. He absolutely loved meeting anyone and every one of you. And he just taken so much away from your story, your experience, the opportunity to do that headshot for you. He loves it, and he'll be back next year. So far we've done almost 115 headshots between last year and this year. So we know there's some folks that maybe thought, I don't need that. We'll get you one next year. Update the one you got to last year. Whatever you want to do, because it's really cool to see. So those little things, those little nuances, the food, the opportunity, people thought, you have a long lunch. You have a long lunch. But that same really smart police officer said, that's really cool. Because most of the conferences we go to are boom, 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 boom. You eat, or you got to leave to eat, and then you got to come back. You never get to talk to anybody else but the people you're there with. Even though you may want to, there's never any time. But that's the lesson learned from the first summit we had, is we need more time to talk to people like us. Talk to teams, talk to folks, get to know them, ask the questions, and not feel pressured because I got to run to the next session. You break in the 15 minutes, you give us an hour and a half for lunch so we can eat, and if there's somebody we can see across the room, we can walk over and sit down at the table with them, we can talk about it, and just get to know each other. So that's what this is all about. That's absolutely what. Patrick, thank you for your ear, thank you for your voice, thank you for that today. I appreciate you. I appreciate you tremendously. I appreciate all of you. So with that, is there anything else from you guys for us to take away that we need to think about moving into 2020, the rest of 2025, the rest of 26 before I close this annual meeting? Hannah, did you have? Nope. Okay. Anyone else? Can I get a motion to adjourn? Second? All in favor? Man, everybody loves to close the meetings, don't they? That's cool. Thank you so much. If I would, not yet. I want to call the Executive Director, Mr. Tom Fallon, up to the stage to introduce himself so you see him and you get to know him a little bit and know this is the man that's going to work on our behalf, on your behalf. And if you see him in the hallways, you want to take a couple minutes, exchange a business card. He doesn't have any business cards yet, but we can work on that. Thomas?
Thank you. So Dan gave me about 5 minutes notice that I was going to come up here, so I'm not really prepared, but I just want to say I'm honored to serve you, to serve the board, to serve the president. I was talking to the head of our mental health board, Lenora, yesterday. When I became a cop a long time ago, and I just retired at the end of last year, I've never experienced any more gratifying work than what we do on the street. I mean, all the people that I've worked with, there's a ton of people that are in here, so I'm here to serve you. It's a part-time gig, but it's never going to be a part-time gig because what we do is not part-time. So kind of have some priorities, and because of my relationship with the Ohio Task Force commanders, I have a pretty good relationships with our elected officials. So kind of sustainability and funding for you guys, and sustainability for funding for this organization. So I'm not sure exactly how that's going to look, but we want to have that long-term sustainability in what we do. I've been around here all week. If anybody needs me, I'll give you my email real quick because that's probably going to be best. We do not have business cards. We'll have those soon. Scotty and I are going to work together to try to do the mission of this organization and the board. So it's tfallon@hcso.org. I still have my sheriff's office email, and I'll probably have that all of this year at least. So if you need anything, I'm here. I'm going to kind of start traveling the state. I don't know a lot of the different regions. Morgan and I talked last night. I don't really know everything that's going on in the Franklin County, Columbus central area. So I'm going to work on that. I'm going to go to all the regions. So if you need something, I'm here. My phone number is 513-615-2516 if you need that too. So I'm honored. It's a privilege to serve you, and I'm super excited about what we're going to do in the next couple of years. So thank you.
Okay, since Wednesday, I've been thinking about this a lot. Who were the people that had no affinity for over or under? They didn't care. Raise your hands. So now that you've had 2 days to think about it, ponder it, is there any way we could get you into the over? Mike? Mike and I had dinner the other night, and he goes, I can't believe there were that many people that didn't care. And Mike was very torn up about that. And so our friends from Texas couldn't make it because of the weather. It wasn't because we beat them in the national semifinal. No? That's why people hate Buckeye fans. We are seriously obnoxious. I totally get it. I'm going to invite Nicole. Go ahead. Please.
Or you can stay up there. I don't care. Did you put the sponsor slide up for us? I don't mean to, that's out of kilter. While she's doing that, this is hard work. And I want to just take a moment to recognize all the folks that have been working really hard. Been meeting every Tuesday afternoon at 3 o'clock since August. And then meeting every other week with the specific committee leaders since August to make this event happen. So just standing up here and saying thank you, I know that's not enough, but I want to make sure you have an opportunity to hear those words and see their faces, because this does not happen without the help of Miss Scotland Duff. The behind-the-scenes work with the registration, with the Hoover app. Did the Hoover app work for you guys? Is that something that you liked? Did it help? Because we never did that before, right? So we know other conferences do it, but we thought we would try. That's an important piece. Our accreditation and proposal review committee chair, Ms. Nan Franks. She and her partner, Janice Roden, were working with anyone and everyone that she needed to talk to make sure that what do we need to make sure that these CEs are available, and do you understand what we're trying to do? And then one of her partners to make sure the law enforcement credits for this year was the executive director, Tom Fallon. He worked, and the state of Ohio has a whole application process for any course, and they were very strict to their process, so all the courses had to be, it was a lot of work. So thank you, Tom, for your work with OPADA to make sure this year we had 12 courses within the conference, the summit, that met that, and we're excited about that. Next year EMS. Is there any fire EMS in the room? Yeah. We appreciate you. We'd like to get you those credits, right? So we're going to work on that. We're going to work on that, absolutely. Our marketing and engagement materials, Mr. Scott Duff. Scott, just there you go. Thank you for what you do. Am I forgetting anybody on the, oh, I apologize. Lieutenant Steve Rogers and his awards and nomination committee. They accepted the awards, the mini grants. They did all the review of all the applications for, again, any mini grant or any nomination for recognition award. And then they went out and made the selection of the awards. I mean, I think last year's awards we want to make different than the year before. This year's awards we want to make different than last year. So we want to change it up. and continue to professionalize the work that you guys do and your recognition for. So again, thank you to Lieutenant Rogers and his team for the work. And then if you saw the sponsorship slide. The guy that was out there leaning and talking and engaging probably since like February of last year to make sure they felt value and recognition and service and process. Mr. David Shearing, he helped make sure we got some of the monies to make sure this process, we could write the checks to make this event happen. So David, all of you guys, thank you. You all played an important role in what we do. But the core planning team was, again, that meeting, talking through, setting the agenda, the meeting with the hotel, walking through, what's the menu going to be, what's the breakout rooms, what's the temperature going to be, what do we want in all these spaces, how many chairs, all these things. That's this group. And no one person, I mean, Miss Megan Guthrie, Nicole Jenkins, Tom Fallon, Mike Davenport, every week on the phone, in the meetings, whether they were traveling or whatever, they're getting on the horn and we're talking through. So please stand up and accept a round of applause, because this event does not happen without them. Right, and I forgot Scotty. See, I'm not paying attention to the slides and I forgot you. Thank you. Thank you for your grace. I appreciate it. I mean, we're excited. We absolutely love this. But I'll ask you one logistical question. If you have Hoovy, does the paper agenda matter? Or do you like them, but Miss Karen? Okay. I mean, we like the paper too, but we don't want to waste your paper. Because I'll share a little story with you. The printer that we've used for the last 2 years, that broke. And the agenda is pretty high quality. We were pretty proud of the agenda. That printer that they used, it was broken. So we were scurrying last week to figure out how we were going to pay $3,000 to Staples to get the copies that we needed. And the folks that take care of the printer worked really, really hard and called and said, we got it fixed, we're ready to print, we can help you print. So that, using the county's printer, saved us about $2,000, but it also made sure that the agenda was what you're used to. Yes, Karen? Okay. Well, if you have any strong feelings, we want to make sure, again, we want to be smart with the dollars, and we want to be respectful to your needs, but we also, I mean, I like the paper because I also look at it too, you know. I sit down and I'm like, hey, what all is happening, and it's all there in front of me versus, I mean, but I'm also 60 years old, and that Hoover app, I'm not really sure how to use it, so, you know what I mean? So again, I appreciate that. So again, yes, Abby. And just so you know, again, from a point of note, we heard you last year relative to registration. We tried to improve that. We had a whole system that you could register and it would automatically print your name badge and all this stuff, and it wouldn't work. And luckily we had our IT on welcome night. He was out there, he did something to create a program that would allow the printer to speak to the computer to even do what we were able to do. So we heard you last year. The goal was to improve it with the 3 printers and da-da-da-da-da, and we tried. So we'll continue to work on and improve that process as we move forward, because we know registration can be kind of, so. Anything else relative? Just you, Nicole. And the supplies. This is so cool. This is so cool. If we could, yes. Oh, right. I didn't see. I'm sorry I didn't remember this. All the volunteers and all the people that worked in registration that, ran to the airport and picked up our speaker if we didn't, our Hamilton County QRT team members, all those folks that were running around in their classrooms doing everything, please give them a round of applause. I apologize to them for not remembering that. Thank you, Dennis, because it doesn't happen without them doing the things behind the scenes, knocking on the window, the presenters like, that's a 5-minute work thing, getting the CEU forms, getting all that stuff collected and then submitted and turned around, and then how those CEU forms, you filled out the form, they went to Scotty. Scotty then entered all that information manually into Hoover, so the CEU documents, your time is recorded in there. Is there anything else relative to CEUs that we need to share with them?
Well, let me just tell you that you'll get a general certificate of attendance, and then people who are getting specific CE credits will get an additional attachment that outlines my content area for those of you who need those content areas specified. And then you load them with your counselor CD up in CE Broker, and if you can't do it, you've got my email.
Okay.
I say me, but actually Janice Roder, who couldn't be here, when I say me, it really means Janice, is the queen of this.
Queen of CE. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
Anything else, guys, that I'm forgetting? Nicole, I'm excited to call. Oh. Yes, sir.
A lot of CPTs, how do we go about logging those safe?
Tom?
I think what you're going to have they upload the CPT class approval on their website, but they match, so it's going to be under Amberley Village Police, which was my previous employer before I retired. So it's going to be under there, and you should be able just to get those off of your.
That will match the additional sheet you get from us, will identify all your CPT codes as well.
From Hoover, right, Nan?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so it should be there.
Great question.
Right, Scotty? We don't know. It'll come.
They say we're kind of new at this, but if you have questions and something's not working, please reach out to us so we can figure this out, because it's important. It absolutely is important. All right, Nicole, I'm going to turn it over.
All right, good morning, everybody. Thanks for sticking around through Friday. Couple of things. After we did our mini grant celebration yesterday, we had a lot of inquiries about that. So you'll see the QR code behind me, and then it's also available on the ODA website, and we will continue to push it out after our regularly scheduled monthly calls. As Dan said yesterday, we're going to continue to give mini grants until we run out of money, so please apply. And lastly, the peer-to-peer session this at 10:45, please come see us. We're going to be in Mount Airy. It's going to be myself, Scotty, and Jessica Jennings. We're all going to be in Mount Airy. If you guys are interested in anything from hygiene kits, feminine hygiene products, dog food, anything you would really need to be able to give back to your community, ponchos, hand, foot, body warmers, all those things, we are able to take orders for those today, and then we'll have those packaged and shipped directly to you. So please come see us. We're happy to get that out. This is kind of a big deal for us because, as Tom said, he's going to be working on Capitol Hill for sustainability, and we're working with some other community partners who are doing that. But something that's really important for the ODA is to be able to give back to all of you and to help further the work that you're doing. So we had some extra funding, and we thought it'd be best to give that back to you all. So, and again, if you cannot make it to the session because we want you to attend the other 10:45 breakout sessions, you have my contact information. Come see me, come see Scotty, and we'll get you set up. And then lastly, I do want to do a special thank you to the Dayton-Montgomery Public Health team. They donated over 6,000 fentanyl test strips. Those are here today. You will be taking those with you today. So you'll also get all that in Mount Airy. So yes, come see us. And yeah, we're excited to do this portion, or to be able to do this event. So thank you.
job, Nancy. Thank you. She wasn't paying attention. Totally wasted. So after breakout sessions, if you'd come back at 12 o'clock, Megan, we're going to have a few last remarks. We're going to pull the bingo card winners of the gift cards. And if we could have a representative from the Family Resource Center come see Mr. Davenport, he would be very appreciative of that. So go enjoy the breakout sessions this morning, and thank you. You must be present to win the gift cards, apparently. Yeah, so anything else? Okay, there it is.